Welcome to Slow Home Studio. Too many people live in badly designed houses, and we want to change that.
November is Living Room Month, and we're going to spend these 4 episodes looking at how to design a good living room space.
Yeah, and as an example, what we thought we would do is we would take a project from our portfolio that we recently completed and look at how we detailed and designed the living space. And this one happens to be a 1960s split-level house that we remodeled, and it was in the southern edge of Calgary.
That's right, actually in Lake Bonavista. So let's have a look at the slides. This is the image from the Avenue magazine, and this is what the house looked like before. Quite a difference, but what it did have going for it were these great windows that looked out into the backyard.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the sort of general disorganization of the living and dining space, because we see this a lot of times in houses where we come in to do a remodel, and the issue seems to be in spaces where you have both the living room and the dining room sharing a space, that there really isn't a sense of where the dining room should be and where the living room should be, and that is primarily because there's a lack of a focal point. So one of the principal things that we had to do in the design of the living space was to create a focal point to ground the overall furniture arrangement.
That's right, and that meant looking for a wall, and we obviously were not going to put the focal point on this wall because that's where all the windows were, and a focal point of a TV or a fireplace would just obscure that. And so we thought that this actually was the right wall to do that, and so we reversed the living room and the dining room, and so there you can see now that's the window that we were just talking about, and this is the end wall of that space.
Yeah, and it's important to talk about what types of things constitute a focal point, because in a living room space there's sort of 3 things you can have as a focal point. You can obviously have, like we did, a fireplace. Another thing that could typically be a focal point would be a television.
Yep.
And the third thing, I think, would be a view. If you had a beautiful view, you're looking out sort of at a vista, then you may want to orient your furniture towards that.
That's right. These clients wanted to have the fireplace, not just the view, and so we were able to do both at the same time, which I actually kind of like. So you can see that this focal point is something that we inserted into the room. We've got a fireplace. Insert gas fireplace. It sits inside of the wall. It's direct vent going out, and but it's not just that. If you just did that on the wall, and this is something you see a lot of, that fireplace is too small in scale to the rest of the room.
It's like an appliance.
That's
really.
right, it's just an appliance. So what you need to do is think about how to expand the scale. So that, first of all, we have the stone. We're going to be talking about this in more detail in another episode, and then expand out with the storage on the side to create a whole composition.
Yeah, and what's really interesting now is you're starting to see how the living room zone is defined differently from the dining room zone within the same space. And the way we were able to do that, of course, is with that fireplace. We're also able to do that with that paint color change. Very, very subtle detail, but we created this bulkhead, and we wrapped the paint color from the bulkhead down on that wall, so it kind of grounds the furniture into that corner. And then the dining room, which we're not speaking specifically about dining rooms, has a light fixture which sets that in place.
So it's not just about focal points with living rooms. We also need to think about the organization of the furniture. And there, it's important to think that you're not just doing it compositionally for how it looks, and it's not just a furniture showroom. It's actually a place in which you're going to sit. And so you need to organize the furniture so that 1 person, 2, 3, 4, 5 people can use that space and for a variety of activities, to read, to talk, to watch TV, to look at the fireplace, look at the view.
And in our next episode, we're going to look at some common pitfalls with living space design to show you what not to do.
See you next time.